Jennifer Allen is the co-founder of an organization called Vancouver Cop Watch. It's a citizens group that aims to improve relations between the Vancouver police and residents of the downtown east side. And I welcome Jennifer Allen to the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me a little bit about Cop Watch, how it got started, your involvement in it, why we need it.
Vancouver Cop Watch got started by Pivot Legal Society in the 1990s, and they ran it for a while, then it fell apart, and then I came along last December with myself and Jamie Richardson, and we restarted it.
Based on what? Like, why did you feel there was a need?
We felt there was a need for Cop Watch because of, especially at the time the Missing Women's Inquiry was happening and all that stuff information was coming out of the Missing Inquiry about how the police didn't do anything about the missing women. They didn't take any police complaints. They didn't care about the women who went missing because they're just drug-addicted survival sex workers. We saw there was a major strife between the downtown east side with survival sex workers, addicts, like people who live down there, and the police, and how the police would always see the need to criminalize people instead of seeing the need to help people and see them as victims of crime.
And is this a situation that you think has gotten better or worse in the past few years?
The situation between the police and the downtown east side is slowly improving over the years. It has a lot of work to do. We got a lot of policies that need to get changed.
How does Cop Watch work? How do you physically work? First of all, how many of you are there?
Altogether, there's about 414 members and supporters. So what we do is I have three different people. I have like three different sections. So I got like our street patrol section, our section that attends protests, and our section that shadows police. So with our street patrol, what we do is we walk the streets with our cameras and our notepads, and we basically watch interactions between police and residents, and we take pictures of the situation if it gets out of hand. If you see the police abusing their power, we take pictures, we write their badge numbers down, we take everything down, we turn the information over to the superiors and over to the professional standing unit.
How frequently do these encounters take place? I mean, is this something that happens on a daily basis, something that happens every so often? How would you describe it?
Our street patrol team is down there every single day walking the streets.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we go by how many complaints we get. So, in 1 week I got 6 police complaints. Another week I got 5. This week I got 2 police complaints. And we advocate on behalf of people to put in the police complaints. We also have a peer support group for victims of police brutality once a week.
When you talk about police brutality, how would you describe that and how frequent is it?
Police brutality is anything from if a cop is emotionally, mentally, or verbally abusive to someone, right down to if the cop physically or sexually abuses a person. We get a lot of complaints about police who have physically assaulted people in the downtown east side. And that just goes to show how the police don't see the people in the downtown east side as human beings that deserve dignity and respect. They're seen as criminals who need to be treated in a harsh manner.
Although I don't spend a lot of time down there, but I've certainly been down there many, many times. And I'm sometimes taken aback by the way people will abuse the police, too, or challenge the police, or swear at the police, or confront the police for what seems to be no apparent reason.
Yes, and in those cases, we actually try to work to improve relationships between residents and in the downtown east side and the Vancouver Police Department. That's why we have open meetings with the police twice a month where people can come in and we meet with the police and we go over all of these issues. And if we do see people, their behavior escalating a situation, we will step in, pull that person aside, and explain to them how they're making a situation worse.
So you will intervene in that way?
To an extent, yes.
Yeah.
We won't intervene while the police are doing their job, but if we see a person getting out of hand and we know this is going to lead to like a full-fledged fist fight with the police, and we'll intervene, pull that person aside, calm them down, we'll listen to what their problem is, and then work with them from there. Or if we'll ask the police, can we get this person out of the area? This person needs to leave.
How have the police responded to you as an organization?
It depends on who you are. If you're a police officer who put a complaint in, I guess you obviously don't like us. Some police think we do a good job. Some police don't like us. It depends. But like I said, we're here for both sides. We want to improve the relationship between the VPD and the downtown east side.
Is there any evidence that you're having success?
Yes, we got meetings with the VPD. I mean, like when the first 2 times we asked for meetings with the VPD, they actually ignored us, and then we just kept going at it. And now we have bi-weekly meetings monthly.
How do the police respond? And I mean, I know you can't generalize. Every police officer probably responds differently, but to having people taking their pictures while they're perhaps searching somebody in the process of arresting somebody, putting somebody into a squad car? Are those the kinds of things that you're going to be monitoring and photographing?
We monitor the police. We monitor the whole situation. We only take pictures if we see the situation getting out of hand. So if a cop pulls up to someone and he's arresting the person because the person's drinking in public, and then that cop starts to physically assault the person or starts to use heavy-handed police tactics, then that's when we start taking pictures. But in general, yes, we do have pictures of all the beat enforcement team members. So that way if someone says, so-and-so assaulted me, this is what I look like, well, we show the pictures of the cops we have and say, yeah, that's him. And we know who that cop is, we know who his sergeant is, we know his badge number, and then we just go from there.
And does it get to the sergeant? Is that the first step?
Sometimes if the sergeant wants to talk to us and wants to hear what we have to say.
Will they often?
Some do, some don't. Sergeant Toby Hinton, Sergeant Mark Steinbeck will not talk to us. But if not, then we just go straight to the professional standing unit. But that's what we want to do. We want to avoid having to go to the professional standing unit because in the end, this will go on the cop's file, his permit file. So if it's just like a small communication problem, we would sooner just talk to the sergeant, get the cop's behavior rectified, and move on from there.
Talking with Jennifer Allen, co-founder of Vancouver Cop Watch, as we had a little music bringing us in, a little timely music. I want to read just a little bit of an email that I got a few minutes ago. This is from a retired VPD officer, and she takes great exception to your comments about police doing nothing related to the missing women. She says there are many officers who will deal with this for the rest of their lives, and who work very hard on it. So that to suggest that all police officers did nothing is hurtful to her.
Okay, sorry. I do know Lori Schenner worked really, really hard. I do know a couple police officers, such as Dave Dixon, did work really, really hard. But majority of the time, the police didn't take the missing women serious. It wasn't just the VPD; it was also the RCMP, and it all came out of the missing women's inquiry, as we heard about how the police dropped the ball in the case, and they allowed a serial killer to continue on killing for an extra 3 years.
I was thinking about this the other day. I think there's a lot of rewriting of history going on. It wasn't just the police that didn't care. There were a lot of people who didn't seem to care.
Society in general didn't care.
Yeah, and I think now they're going back and pointing fingers at police, and to some degree it's warranted. But generally speaking, there wasn't much of an outcry on the part of the general public.
No, there wasn't an outcry, and that was due to the fact that the victims were survival sex workers, drug addicts, Native women, and due to this racial colonization, Canada we live in, that explains why a lot of people didn't really care about them.
Do you think this has changed that?
What has changed what?
Well, the hearing, the eventual outcome of the case, the horror that people, a lot of people didn't seem to care because they didn't know the people. They really bought the argument that they were transient, that they'd probably gone to live somewhere else. I don't think many people really thought there was a serial killer in our midst when they discovered that not only there was, but
there's more than one. There's 3 at one time.
But what he did or they did, pretty awful.
Yes, if anything, the Missing Women's Inquiry brought attention and awareness to the whole case and to the issues that people face in the downtown east side, such as just the amounts of discrimination they face. It's really, and also a lot of information came out about how the police mishandled the case, not just the VPD, but the RCMP.
The two together?
Yes, they're both at fault.
604-280-9898. Paul, hello.
Hey, I'm just wondering, am I able to take an officer's badge number and, punch it into the website? Or even if I get into altercation, can I take that officer's badge number and file a little report on there and for everyone to see, sort of like Rate My Cop or something like that?
What you can do basically is if you have an altercation with a police officer is you take his badge number, if you have a camera, take his picture, you can go online onto the VPD website, you can file a complaint online right there, and you can put all the information in there. And
is that information public?
When you file a complaint?
Yes.
At first, it's not public unless something's happened to the police officer. So if the police officer's been fired or something, then the information would become public.
Paul, have you had occasion to do that? Or to want to do it?
Yeah, a couple times. I feel that I've been treated unfairly, and I'd like to know, I wouldn't really want to file a complaint because, to me, I feel like I'm going to become a target, if you start, fighting back, so to speak, or, so I'm just wondering if it's possible just to have this third-party service where I could just go in and take a picture and tell everybody what happened and rate my experience.
You can come on to our social media, such as Twitter.
You have a Twitter account?
Yeah, we have Twitter and Facebook accounts. And you can, come on there and, put down everything that has happened to you and what the situation was. You can send us the information. We can put in a complaint on your behalf. And I can tell you the police aren't going to be targeting us.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Hardy.
Bill, good talking to you, enjoying your show as per always. I think your guest hit it on the head when she mentioned that, the police culture and society in general didn't really care as much about the missing woman on the downtown east side as perhaps they should have. And sadly, I don't think that's changed that much. I mean, we'll hear sometime later this year, Bruce Allen will have a rant about, disparaging people, making them seem different than us. And I think until that attitude changes in society in general, I don't think we're going to have many changes. Like, predators will prey on the weak, and they'll know where to go because they wouldn't go do that in someone who has a quote unquote normal lifestyle will be missed easily, and there will be more resources and more emphasis put on solving that crime. I mean, I'm not trying to put a disparaging remark on the police per se, because it's a societal culture, and the police are humans and they represent society as well. Thanks.
Any thought? I mean, really, we're here to talk about the relationship of the police and the people on the downtown east side.
One of the best ways I found is to change that police culture is to change the policies. Their missing persons policy just changed. Their missing persons policy used to be that if you were homeless, the police wouldn't take a missing persons complaint. Majority of the people in the downtown east side were homeless when they went missing. So right there shows how, discrimination, worked in the police's favor. And now it's changed that supposedly now they take missing complaints from Aboriginal people, survival sex workers, drug addicts, and mentally ill people as the first priority. But we need to keep on working. We can't just change our missing persons, policy and then everything's fixed. We need to change other policies.
Talking with Jennifer Allen, co-founder of Vancouver Cop Watch. I welcome your calls to her, 604-280-9898. Anne, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, hi.
My name's Anne, and I've been helping out in the downtown east side, certainly with the vending tickets and the jaywalking tickets and the other bylaw tickets that are given out by the hundreds, perhaps the thousands, by the police, and then it ends up causing a huge crisis for people on welfare because they can't pay them. They get subpoenaed to court, they don't show up in court, and now they have a warrant. And that's what the action we've seen, a lot of the trouble that's being caused, is that people don't feel that it's fair that they're getting these tickets. And
what were the tickets before, Ann?
Pardon?
What are the tickets for?
Well, first they did jaywalking, and this was sort of well publicized that they gave out 1,200 jaywalking tickets in December of '08. And it took us over a year to get 800 of them rescinded as not having value, in the sense that they really were just giving people tickets willy-nilly. You step off the curb, you step back off on the curb, they still give you the ticket.
Wasn't part of that trying to get people to stop stepping off the curb and wandering into traffic in the middle of busy traffic?
Well, the final, that we did a lot of work on pedestrian safety after, because we did find out that we had a huge amount of people dying, and being struck. But the issue with the people that are crossing the street in that way the health minister the minister, medical health officer was the most accurate in her description of them being cognitively impaired for whatever reason, and that they needed to do the 30 clicks.
Jennifer, can you speak to that?
Yes, actually, one of the things that we do deal with is we deal with a lot of people who get vending tickets and jaywalking tickets, and even some of my cop watchers have gotten silly jaywalking tickets where they stepped off the curb, the cop targeted them and gave them a $109 jaywalking ticket when they had no intention of even crossing the street.
And probably no ability to pay $109.
No, because we're not funded. We're self-funded. All the money comes from our personal money.
You can be found on Twitter at Van Cop Watch.
Yeah.
And on Facebook.
At Vancouver Cop Watch.
So this is an ongoing program.
Yes.
And how do you relate with the cops on the beat yourself? Because I mean, you're prominent in the downtown east side. They'd be more than aware of who you are. How do they respond to you?
It depends on the police officer, like I said earlier. I mean, some police we have really good rapport with, we chat with, we look forward to seeing, we share laughs with, right? Some cops we work alongside with them to get harm reduction supplies out. Other cops do not like us. They don't quite understand what we're doing, but their sergeant just doesn't like us, and so they listen to what their sergeant tells them. Some police officers literally just run away from us. And it comes down to my question to the police is, what are you doing? If you're scared of us, there must be a reason why. You're doing something wrong. And we're obviously effective at what we're doing.
But you feel that you're effective. You feel like you're making a difference in the downtown east side.
Yes.
You have your kitchen, too.
Yes, I also am the founder and CEO of Jen's Kitchen, which is an advocacy, outreach, and food relief service for women. And once again, we work with women who we advocate on their behalf when they become victims of crime. And we have to contact the police to make sure the police deal with them in a proper manner.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very interesting. Jennifer Allen, co-founder of Vancouver Cop Watch. We break for the